art of the boundaries being feminine is that it doesn't feel pushy. It simply is the way you are. In this video, I'm going to be baking boundaries. We're going from crumbs to whole cookies. When you don't have boundaries, you settle for crumbs in your life in general. But when you embody your worth, you get the whole cookie, not just what's left over. The inside of the cookie is soft, chewy, warm because the outside holds it together. When you shape your cookies with intention, they don't look like one big blob. Boundaries are the same. They help you hold your form instead of losing yourself. I have a whole bunch of things to make some sourdough, walnut, cranberry, coconut, oatmeal cookies. Say that 10 times fast. Sourdough, walnut, cranberry, coconut, oatmeal cookies. I'm very excited to show you what you need to make them. Femininity is not something that you do, it is something that you are. We create an environment in which we can play and flow and have fun. Women tend to think that we have expressed our needs very well, but actually, do we even know what our needs are? Do we even know how to deliver them in a way that doesn't feel demanding or entitled? I need princess treatment. That is how a lot of our boundaries come across. Are we expecting too much? It is very important for us to first know what we need, to be sober-minded and humble. So let's see if this works. This is the heart of the matter, and today is the first, last, only, and best day of our entire lives. My name is Juliet, and I'm so glad you're here. I am a feminine virtue and vitality coach. I help you gain the self-worth that you've always had, but just never seen. You are whole as you are, and you need nothing outside of you. First, we want to line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper and preheat our oven to 350 Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius. This is one of the best purchases I recently made because it actually shows me the real temperature. I was previously flopping everything I was baking because it was not getting hot enough. There's the polarity trick that we really need. If we're a good girl, if we're not taking up too much space, if we're not actually saying, hey babe, you would please me if you did this. And then when he does it, thank you so much, babe, for doing that. If we don't have that capacity of sense of self or self-awareness, how can we be hot to our partner? Butter and sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar, that's also 200 grams, half a cup of granulated sugar. I'm using white. You know, sometimes you gotta not sugarcoat it. You gotta say what you mean and mean what you say. 1 cup or 2 sticks of unsalted butter, that is 226 grams. I am just putting the whole double stick in there. This is me buttering you up before we get to the real talk. Boundaries without self-worth are kind of like butter without sugar. Greasy and unsatisfying. Self-worth is something that you have. It's not something you show off. Now we're going to beat this until it's light and fluffy, maybe like you need to be. All I'm saying is sometimes you got to soften up first, okay? Don't try and say your need when you're in your emotions. Go away, do something fun, maybe bake, and then come back refreshed, having eaten your sweet treat, and say, honey, I would love this. Isn't that nicer than, I need this? Nobody wants to talk to that. Have the strength it takes to be soft. Softness doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes when you didn't say the last word, you walked away with the dignity of the person who did. Now this is a scale because sometimes we need a balance. And here's my sourdough starter. I fed it earlier this morning. You're gonna want half a cup or about 120 grams of it. Even discard can be useful. Sometimes discard your past mistakes. I'm just doing a little bit of both. We treat boundaries a little bit too seriously. It's not about doing it perfectly. It's about knowing when to rise and when to rest. I've made so many sourdough things, sourdough muffins, sourdough pancakes, sourdough cinnamon rolls even, but what I haven't made yet is sourdough bread because everyone keeps talking about how tricky it is. I'd appreciate if you have made it. You just tell me in the comments, should I attempt it? Because I'm feeling the need to. Those wise people who do attempt to make sourdough bread, they say that boundaries are like sourdough. They get stronger with time and practice. And I have to give credit where credit is due. Thank you to Ashley from Best Dressed, who years ago made a video on how she makes her dough, aka her money, while baking bread. There we go. Now you're better. Now you're better. We're gonna add 120 grams sourdough into the buttery, sugary mix. These little spoons are some of my favorite. I've had them my whole life. Like silver, lovely, different sized spoons. I'm not gonna make a spoon joke. When you first start making boundaries, it can be hard because you don't understand the difference between crumbling and cracking open. A good girl will crumble under pressure, and a feminine woman who is strong, she will rise to what life is asking of her because she is already cracked open. We understand the strength in breaking open because it means that you're closer to life and the way that it goes. You have to be alive, whether it's grief or joy. At least you're open to the spectrum of emotion, because if you numb one, you also numb the other. So as I was saying, crack open. You're going to want 2 large eggs, so maybe do that again. I've always wanted to do that one-handed. You can't make cookies without breaking a few shells, and you can't grow without breaking a few patterns. Pick your battles. Sometimes don't say anything at all, and in that, you allow the other person to return to you. But having the nuance is all about your emotional intelligence, because when you have a heart that has been diligent in protecting itself from evil and therefore creating purity, you can sense when to do which, and that's what this channel is all about. 2 teaspoons. Vanilla gets a bad rep that it's plain, but actually without it, the whole recipe falls flat. The same with integrity. It's subtle, but essential. Our boyfriends, our girlfriends, the people around us, they pick up on whether we are in integrity with our tone and what we are saying. What you say and what you do has to be aligned in order for it to feel authentic. You're going to want to mix this until smooth. It's important to tidy up as you go along, otherwise you just got all these stray conversations never being had, and they pile up until you just don't want to do those dishes. Now here are the dry ingredients. These are the solid foundation, because without them, everything falls, just like boundaries. 1 3/4 cups of flour, that's 220 grams on the scale. I always like to sieve everything I do. This is what the process of purifying looks like, speaking to yourself, okay, what do I need versus what do I want? Everything that you want will stay in the sieve. Everything that you need will go in the bowl. And then you choose your battles. If I want to have a spa day, I will go and book it with my friends. It is not up to my man to chill me out. You've heard the Bible verse, separate the wheat from the chaff. Well, the chaff, it stays here. The wheat goes in the bowl. Our spice and all things nice part, I don't know why some recipes completely miss out on spices. If you're not spicy, your man's gonna be. He's gonna test your boundaries, and if you don't hold to them, he's not going to continue to meet that standard. If you don't have the self-worth, then you're never going to experience the sense of needing to be spicy. A man wants you to be spicy because it challenges his masculinity. When he works, he goes away and he talks to different deals, to different salespeople. You don't think he's going to try and test your boundaries at home? You don't think that's going to go into the relationship? You need to be the person who's like, no, this is what I said. This is what I need. And holding that in a way that's like, yeah, babe, I would love that. It's an art. It's truly an art. You always get what your lowest standard is. You're not going to get what you want, you're going to get what you need. So the question becomes, how can you make what you want what you need? What I want, what I need, the same. Your wants are always going to tell you what you're needing. It'll be at the core of them. A want tends to be based in pride, ego, what is apparent good, but the root of it will always be a need, something that's more for your soul, your spirit. It's essential for your growth. So you're going to want to journal, why do I want this? What would it give me that I don't have now? If the deeper answer is connected to your well-being, your service, your purpose, or your healing, it is a legitimate need. For example, you may want wealth, but you may need financial freedom. You may want a relationship, but beneath that, you need love, intimacy, and growth in connection. You may want recognition, but the need could be for you to feel seen and valued and affirmed in your God-given gifts. You need to have both feminine and masculine energies in order to be that healthy, whole person. Psalm 37:4 sums this up nicely. It says, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." When it comes to spices, I just don't measure. So while cinnamon adds warmth, salt adds balance. That's boundaries, warmth and strength together. A little saltiness is a good thing. Boundaries mean you're not all sugar all the time. However, a man wants to feel like you are, sweet enough already. So if you can share those boundaries without seeming like you're salty, that is true feminine wisdom. And a teaspoon of baking soda. Mix your dry ingredients and then fold them into the wet ones. When you overmix or overwork your dough, it gets tough. The same thing happens when you overcommit or overfunction. You burn yourself out, or people don't want to hear it because it's just that angsty. Boundaries are what keep you tender, not tough. So make sure you don't overwork it. Just roll in with the oats, roll in with the punches. Don't go nuts, set boundaries. You're gonna want about 1 cup or 120 grams. They're already chopped? Yeah. Don't be sharp-edged. You can be soft when you have your own back, when you have that knife available for yourself, when it's your spine, when you know that if somebody oversteps, you can simply express in a way that is soft and inviting and actually even feels rewarding at the end versus react. And cranberries, a little tartiness makes things interesting. Same amount. Now we're going to fold this in so we're not overworking the dough. I also have some leftover coconut shavings, and I'm just going to put all of these in here. That's a good illustration of what not to do with boundaries. Don't just chuck every single thing that happened recently that you're annoyed about into what you're about to express. Okay, yum. So I just used 2 tablespoons, grab the batter and sort of shape it into decent size. When you have these pillars in place and when you know that you can rely on yourself to act well in a situation that might undermine who you believe you have a sense of peace that never leaves you. A standard in a relationship where you know that just because somebody is resistant to you doesn't mean you stop being who you are. Doesn't mean that they redefine your identity. There is a time that a man can take us for granted because we're always around, and that's precisely what they value. It's availability. How accessible are you to him, and at what stage in the relationship? Of course, it's very important to be soft and available and kind, but what standard are you creating when he's taking for granted and you're still giving everything that you usually do? The only language men understand is absence, but you cannot leave with passive aggression. Okay, I'm leaving. I understand what that is because I've been there. It's not going to create the space. The result that you want is that he comes to you and says, hey, I've missed you. I'm planning a date for us. Expect him to build the bridge because you've created the environment in which it is peaceful. Say one time, clearly and gracefully, what you need. Maybe you want him to plan a date for you, but what you actually want is to connect because he's been working all week. That looks like coming to your man and saying, hey babe, start with a compliment. I love spending time with you. Then state the problem. I've really missed you the past week that you've been working. Then state the need. I think it would be great if we could connect together, and I would love to do that on a date. And then the most important is inviting him into the conversation. What do you think? That's a very welcoming atmosphere that you've been able to create because, like I said, you've had your sweet treat. It might look like this, and perhaps you're saying, hey babe, here you go, here's your sweet treat. When you tell him exactly what I just shared, there is absolutely no sense that you're entitled, that you're demanding, and that you need something that hinges on his behavior. He wants to feel, oh my gosh, yes, I get to help my woman. I get to put a smile on her face. And when I do this, it's so rewarding. It's like a game, and I feel like I won, and I feel like I'm the best man in the world. Isn't that what you want to do for your man? Cookies need to rest before baking so they don't spread too thin. And so do you. Listen, anger tells you what you need. It's always a secondary emotion. There's always something deeper there. Go away from that relationship, from that space where you need to set a boundary, and understand what you need before you start to react. It's so important. I heard this really great story of the magic kitchen. When you are in your kitchen and you have everything that you could possibly want, you open the fridge, you got all the ingredients, you can make any food you're craving whenever you want to. You can bake cookies with absolutely anything. You can make your own favorite pizza. And then the pizza man comes to the door. So you think, I'm going to buy your pizza, which is like badly made. I don't know if the ingredients are organic. It's definitely not free range eggs. It's not cured meat. It's not any of the things that I use in my magic kitchen. And I'm just going to pay you money and put that into my temple of a body. No, I have my own kitchen where I make my own delicious food. And that selectiveness is what you want to develop as a feminine woman of virtue and vitality. You want to be so certain of what you can provide for yourself that what others are offering is no longer something that's even on your menu. We think if we work on deserving something, we'll have more of it, and that precisely is what develops a sense of entitlement. Try and do it softly, integrate this slowly, attempt this naturally, and it may well give you that sense of self worth over time because no partner, no friend can give you that. You need to put the ingredients into your fridge and you need to put the time into baking the sweet treats so that you can feel that your worth has risen. You need to believe it. If you're truly there, accept Jesus Christ into your heart. He died for you when you were still a sinner. That gave me more self worth than any other tip ever has. Your habits reflect what you believe about yourself. Take away anything that drains you and keep giving yourself more of what lifts your spirits. We're going to bake these for 10 to 12 minutes. I didn't put these in the fridge because I am so hungry for them now, and I'm going to take the others out. I will get back to you as soon as the cookies come out.
Several bad puns later.
I smell cookies. Let's put on the kettle. I know a lot of you are like, she's living in Mexico. What is she doing putting on some hot tea? Well, 8 years spent in the UK, that is what will make you have an electric kettle. And I love it. And I wouldn't change it for anything. I have about 5 cups of tea a day, and I don't know how many you're supposed to have or if there is a limit. English people, please comment below. I need to have tea. I love a good chai tea, Earl Grey also. Black tea, it's okay. I like it when it's got some flavor, some spice. And I tend to have like a teaspoon of sugar in it, but I think these cookies are going to be sweet, so I don't need any today. What I have recently done again, and God just takes out all the weeds from your life, is pray and say, God, please align my will with your will. Please take anything away from me that is not of you, that is not love, that is not from you. I don't want to be made out of lies at all. Don't let anybody push your boundaries. The only people who push your boundaries are the ones who are tested by them and the ones who get hurt because of them, despite it being healthy for you. If you want help with your specific situation, I do virtue calls at the link below. Or if you have chronic symptoms, I help you return to your health by seeing the root of which was emotional through German New Medicine with vitality calls at the link below. So you want to live as if your prayer has already been answered, as if your boundary has already been honored. And those who don't honor it will fall away. And the key between noticing the want from the need is not forcing what you want, but seeing the need that's hidden beneath it, and then accepting a life in which needs are what you're going to get. Look at these cookies, I'm so happy.
Yay! Yay!
Taste test. I'm so happy with this. The sourdough gives it that tarty flavor, plus it's balanced with the sweet so nicely. I'm gonna put these in the freezer. So if that's not feminine, having your own back, I don't know what is. Go attempt to use this format in your life in any kind of way, friendship, relationship, career. Let me know in the comments below if that worked for you, from crumbs to whole cookies. Until next week, as my Oma always said, harden not your heart, love, and serve each other.